What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Munadiwa and this is Casa Chaps, where we talk all things home to interior design and everything in between. Before we get started in this video, I do want to put out a disclaimer out there that of course your space is up to you. I always say that home is up to you, and at the end of the day it is up to you really what you choose to do and not to do with your space. But if you want an aesthetically pleasing space which you will not only feel good in, but you will able to be productive as well as cater for your other needs, then you might want to pay attention to these mistakes. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about the placement of a bed in front of a window. Whilst I understand that all interior spaces are different and it might not always be ideal to place your bed elsewhere, if you do have a choice and if you are actively making this mistake, you might want to consider to fix it. This is because placing your bed in front of the window is not good for several reasons. First of all, it blocks the flow of light into your space. And what you're going to get in the end is some kind of filtered light which doesn't really highlight all the places within your space. And natural light is actually very good health benefits, such as uplifting your mood. And also, if you have plants within your bedroom, it would be best to have the most amount of natural light because it will be beneficial to the plants as well. So if you have a choice, do not place your bed in front of the window. The second reason why placing your bed in front of the window might not be an ideal situation is because of the interference with the curtains. How is it going to be easy for you to open and close your curtains during the day and also during the night? So having a bed against the curtains might make the task of opening and closing them very difficult. So I would just advise you to stay away from it. The third reason why placing your bed close to the window is good is because of all comes to pass through the window, and you might actually be susceptible to this if the heating system within your room is not good. The fourth reason why you shouldn't place your bed close to the window is also because of the amount of light that enters your room from the window. If you're a very light sleeper who's sensitive to light, then sleeping next to the window is not going to be great. Unless you have some pretty heavy duty blinds which are able to block out everything, then in other words, you just want to stay away from the window and just put your bed elsewhere. Lastly, placing your bed close to the window takes away all the decorating opportunities that are presented when you're able to put your bed against a wall. Imagine that beautiful art piece that you might otherwise want to, but if you're sleeping with your bed to the window, where are you going to hang it? But if you really have no choice but to place your bed next to the window, there are several ways that you can make it work. And let me break down a few of them. Firstly, you can use a headboard which is low, which will allow the maximum amount of light to pass through it. Or you can opt for a headboard which is made out of materials which allow the passage of light, like rattan, wicker, or wood with gaps so that light can pass through it. Let's move on to the next. Slamming furniture against the walls. Contrary to popular belief, many people believe that you create more space by slamming all your furniture against the walls. Especially in the living room, people have the tendency of pushing their sofas to one end, armchairs to one end, the TV to one end, and then leaving sort of like a big space in the middle. And you wonder, what do they want to do with this space? Do they want to play football in it or what? You really don't want to push your furniture against the walls because this creates a lot of negative space. And this negative space is not great, especially in a living room, because it makes the space look unflattering. It makes it look empty since all the furniture is scattered away. And it also doesn't foster conversation. Imagine having to shout across the room, "Hello, do you hear me?" Sort of like back in the days when people used to rely on the echoes from the mountain to communicate. Honestly, you don't want to do that in your space. What you want to do instead is to push everything together. I don't mean that it has to be too close together. It's not winter where we all have to cuddle, but it does have to be close together so that it fosters conversation. Most importantly, it makes everything looks like one composition and the furniture belongs to each other, rather than having scattered pieces of furniture that look like they don't belong together. I think this is one of the easily committed sins against interior design, which is choosing a small rug. Common sense might be that in a small room you need a small rug and in a big room you need a big rug. Or another common sense or reasoning might be that I just need a rug to cover the area where my coffee table is sitting. But oh, how so wrong that is. That does not serve you, that does not serve your space, and you don't want to do it. This is because your brain will constrict the size of the space to the visual boundaries created by the rug, thus making your space feel smaller than it actually is. Or if you're in a bigger space, it will just look like everything outside of the rug is irrelevant and only what lies on the rug is relevant, which is also not what you want to do. Remember that a rug plays a very much decorative and also functional purpose in a living room. It centers and grounds your entire interior decor design. Therefore, you want it to fit well and you want it to be sized well. A great tip on how to size your rug is to make sure that at least the two front legs of your furniture are able to fit on your rug. But if you want to take things a step higher, you can even have it extend to the walls of the room, which is also okay. Remember that at the end of the day, what you want to do is to dissolve the boundaries that your eyes can see in order for the room to be perceived as bigger. I mean, to be honest with you, interior design is all about tricking the eyes, and that's what you want to achieve. Paint color. Hands up if you still have that egg yolkish yellow color on your walls. That color is not doing anything to your space. If anything, it's taking away from your space and making your space feel dated. This is because that yellow color was too powerful for most of the spaces in which it was used. The reason why that yellowish color probably looks disgusting than saving your space is because you probably didn't consider some factors before you chose that color. Firstly, is your building north facing or south facing? This is because if your building is north facing, it is most likely to receive natural light with a bluish undertone. And so if your light that you have has a bluish undertone, you have to balance that by adding some warmth into the light. And using a color with a bluish undertone is not going to help you do that. Rather, it will just exaggerate that bluish undertone. And on the other hand, if you have a southern facing room, it is most likely that it will receive light with a warmish undertone, meaning you have to counteract that warmness with a bluish color or a color that has a bluish undertone or a cool undertone. So these are some of the considerations that you have to before you just mindlessly paint a room a certain color. It is not that the color in itself is wrong, but it is the environment within which the color is incorporated. So to start off on a fresh start, let us just paint all of your walls in white. But you do want to take note whether the white you select should have a bluish undertone or a warmish undertone, or rather a cool undertone or a warm undertone. Otherwise, we will end up with the same problem that we're trying to mitigate. Another factor that you of course have to consider before you paint a room a certain color is what mood are you trying to achieve within that space. If you're trying to create passion, have some energy within the space, obviously you're going to want to look to warmer colors like red, orange, yellow. But if you want a more relaxing, calm space, then you're going to look at the cooler side of the color wheel to colors such as blue, green, and violet. This mistake hurts me to even think about it, to even imagine that in this day and night, there is someone out there who still has vertical blinds.